All of your guard problems are solved. Cam Payne is back, everybody. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers podcast, live from the Xfinity Lounge on this Monday. We are presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. Along with Kyle, I'm Devon. Derek has the day off.
Must be nice. Long weekend.
Long weekend, man. Happy Valentine's Day there, Derek. Yes, Bree is here, the president of basketball operations. All of you on this Monday. We have a mailbag Monday. We have some observations and some thoughts from the All-Star weekend. We have it all here for you, but we have to start off with Kyle, the guard situation that somebody did ask us about.
Terry Johnson is back.
Terry Johnson is back. There was a Terry Johnson that played in the public league when I was growing up. He was pretty good, FLC. It was pretty good in the city. But Terry Johnson is back, and someone brought it up.
That's a crime that we can laugh about because it's just a funny.
I know. Someone brought it up in the show that we did last week on, I think it was Thursday or Friday. I can't remember which one it was. And they brought up Cam Payne. And we were like, he's overseas. Yeah. We didn't factor in the fact that you can have buyouts. We didn't know enough about his contract to even get in there and discuss what the buyout option would be, if he even had a buyout clause in his contract or anything. We just looked at all the available guys that were this year playing that are currently not on teams or projecting out to some buyout guys and other situations. But here we are. And Cam Payne, who spent the 2023 season with the Sixers, 23-24 season with the Sixers, last season 24-25 with the New York Knicks, had a shot with Indiana early on, but it did not work out, and that's how he ended up overseas. So, Cam Payne, Kyle, your initial thoughts in hearing Cam Payne, and certainly your thoughts of, does this solve the fourth guard rotation for the Sixers, and how does it help, or does it not help at all?
It's kind of my initial reaction, but I would say that I was never one of the big boosters for they got to get a guard in the first place.
Yeah.
I think given some of the options that are out there, I think this one makes a little bit of sense in that Cam has become a different player over the course of his career. Like when he came into the league, he's not much of a shooter. He's more of a speed guy. And like he's still got some jump to his game off the dribble. But over the last 5, probably 6 years, he's turned himself into a pretty reliable shooter off the bench, right? Like he shot 38% I think he played 30 something games for the Sixers that year. He shot 36% for the Knicks last year. 37% in Phoenix in 22-23. Like on a pretty prolonged stretch of he is a reliable shooter on decent, not high volume, but decent volume, 3-4 attempts a game. So for a guy who's going to come in off the bench, who I think you've already seen on a Nick Nurse team, he can come in and he'll get you into your sets. He'll play the traditional point guard role to some extent and give Joel Embiid the ball. Give VJ Edgecombe the ball, get Paul George the ball when he comes back in. You're not going to expect him to play more than maybe 10, 15 minutes on a good night. And he's been around the league enough. He's played in enough big games that if you do have to call on him for any reason in a big spot, in a potential playoff game where he is not going to be, in my mind, he's not a guaranteed rotation guy, number one in the regular season. Certainly not someone I would expect to be in the playoff rotation as long as everybody's healthy and upright. But if you have to count on him, I think he's shown enough over his career where it's he'll do the right things that he needs to do, and he might even go on a heater in a playoff game. Good locker room and vibes guy as well. I think the one very good quote that he gave when he was here and he had a big game was energy costs nothing, right? That what you can control is not whether shots go in, but it's how you play, how you approach the huddle, how you approach the locker room. And so for an end of the bench guy, I have no real problem with it. I'm surprised that, frankly, he got lured away from Serbia. So it seemed like he had a pretty sizable role and making good money over there. So he's obviously excited to get back to the NBA and play. So I'm not over the moon about it, but I'm not mad at it given that I think we do look at the roster and say, you can't just ask Maxey to play 40 minutes a game for the last 20 whatever games of the season.
Now that this happened, though, and we ran through the different names, Cole Anthony, Lonzo Ball in particular, as far as guards, that, as you pointed out, you weren't all that, I have to have a guard on this team when it comes to the Sixers. But now that he is the guard, and you are looking at the other options of what we're talking about with Lonzo Ball and Cole Anthony, does it make you feel at least better about the decision of the guard versus those two?
Better than Lonzo, because Lonzo, I just have no trust in him as a shooter at this point.
Or the health.
The health is a huge question mark. Like, maybe Cam Payne has an injury tomorrow, but generally has been a guy who's playing in a lot of games, played 72 games for the Knicks last year. He was quite available after they picked him up, the Sixers, in 23-24, playing a lot, obviously, in Serbia this year. So, yeah, I think compared to Lonzo, who his profile, if Lonzo was right, if his body was cooperating, if he hadn't gone through what he's gone through the last few years, he makes more sense to me in terms of he's a guy who can play minutes now, but could also potentially get on the floor in the playoffs because he's a more versatile defender, can chip in other ways. But that's a theoretical player that I'm not sure exists anymore. You know what you're getting from Cam Payne. It may be a low ceiling type of player, and I think we already have some people that are upset or disappointed or maybe aiming higher, and I can understand that. But if they were going to sign this type of player, he makes sense on paper to me.
He makes sense because, number one, he was here when they made it to the playoffs in Nick Nurse's first year against the Knicks, where he played pretty well. He had some moments there. He was actually a fan favorite after a while because of the energy costs nothing mentality that he has coming off the bench. And to your point, from evolving from the first round pick that he was playing for the Oklahoma City Thunder to the player who had to fight and scrap his way back into the NBA, understanding what his role was, getting that chance again with the Phoenix Suns in the bubble, mind you. He was brought in on a contract while they were in the bubble. So he found his way back into the league from that. And then the next year, and then the year they go to the NBA Finals, Chris Paul gets hurt. Cam Payne started a lot for that team and helped in a big way for them to get to the NBA Finals, where he was scoring 30 in games. He was scoring 30 in the playoffs.
He was going crazy during that run.
He was really, really good for that Phoenix Suns team. And when you talk about getting hot, the Sixers fans remembered, of course, in that 23-24 season, in that 24 playoffs, for the Knicks last year in Game 1, we know about how Indiana came back with Nesmith hitting all those shots that he did from three-point, and Tyrese Halliburton hitting that one to force the game into overtime, Indiana coming back and winning Game 1. Cam Payne, though, came in and he had scored like 8 straight when they needed a little bit of energy and a little bit of that jolt, and he brought that to them in that playoff series. Didn't go well the remainder of the playoffs, but I was a little surprised that he couldn't stick another year in the NBA and having to go over to Serbia, where he played for Partizan Belgrade in Serbia, averaged 13, 2 rebounds, 4 assists for that team. And their record is not all that great. Doesn't matter. We only care about what he's doing now that he's coming back. He still has some stuff. And this story, by the way, was broken by Mozart Sports earlier this morning. So
it was so early because it was overseas, obviously, that by the time I was awake, because you and I keep a little bit later hours than some of our friends here, it was already I think our friend Mark Stein had confirmed it over here. So good on you for finding the original source of the news. I did
want to give them their credit, Mozart Sports, and then we see our buddy Mark Stein from DLLS, and of course, ALLCITY breaking the story here for a campaign. So for me, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all, because even when we look at those other options, Lonzo Ball, Cole Anthony, I was more on guard than Kyle was about adding a 4th guard to the rotation. Understood and still understand what Kyle meant about it, but I don't mind it, all things considered, especially when we've talked about it so much of the buyout market isn't what you think the buyout market is anymore. So if you can add a player who's been in the system, been in the rotation, has played with the few of these players that are already on the team, understands his role coming into it, and just simply wants back in, the guy's going to energy cost nothing when he gets back here and puts on the Sixers uniform. And with the 28 games that they have left, Tyrese Maxey is averaging 38 minutes a night, close to 40. VJ Edgecombe is right behind him.
Yep.
Quentin Grimes, he's going to have his. You're going to see some from Trendon Watford. Paul George when he gets back in late March. But you could use what he brings, especially on those back-to-back nights where Tyrese Maxey logs 40 because they are a team that always plays into the final 5 minutes of a game to decide the outcome of it. You're going to need Cam Payne to steal a couple of minutes. It may not be 15, may not be 10, but he might bring you a 5 to 7 minute run where there's just simply soaking up some minutes for Tyrese Maxey and or VJ Edgecombe to get a rest. And I think he is one of those players that you can count on for that. He'll drive you crazy occasionally with a turnover, maybe a bad shot, but he's also going to make up for it with the energy and the shots that he does make or the passes as well while he's out there on the floor. So I'm good with it. And we're always honest. I said this when he was brought here in 23-24. I know Cam Payne a little bit just because he's one of Mikhail's best friends in the NBA. So he's around the family. I know him. And I'm just happy that he's back in the league, whether it was here or elsewhere. If he was with Indiana, it was just cool to have him back in the league. So it makes sense, though, because of what this team just needs with an extra ball handler where it's not Eric Gordon, Kyle Lowry, along those lines. He's still 31 years of age, and he knows what he's out there to do.
Yeah, this isn't like a Kyle Lowry, end-of-the-road type of guy. Someone who's like genuinely playing overseas, right? And I will say, we have been kind of far apart on do they need a guard? Does it matter if somebody gets hurt? Is whoever's going to play actually make up for that? I think something that I probably glossed over a little bit that I thought about over this weekend was maybe that guard is not helping if Tyrese Maxey or VJ get hurt and they miss extended time. But maybe someone like Cam Payne can buy them a game here. They're like, it doesn't have to be an injury. It could be, man, Tyrese Maxey is tired. And as Joel gets games off, Paul is out until late March. Maybe you just try to buy Tyrese a game here and there. Or maybe VJ, like early in the year, he had the calf tightness. So it's like we got to be careful and make sure that we're not overextending him, pushing him to the limit, whatever it might be. And if you don't have another guard, then you are playing Kyle Lowry, and you're playing Kyle Lowry real minutes in that circumstance too. So I think I probably discounted that idea, which is not a major injury, but minor stuff, games here and there, back to back. You're splitting it however you want to. Cam Payne at least allows you to buy Maxey and VJ and Grimes like a little bit of time and rest where that option wasn't necessarily there before. So do I love it? No. Do I understand it? And do I think it'll help them in some way? Yes, I think I do. And I do think we had an early super chat, Bree, I believe, from Bernard, who was not pleased with this. So Bernard McCoy, our regular friend, hello Bernard, says, Sixers brass watched All-Star Weekend, saw that Maxey still has no pop in his legs, and decided to go get Cam Payne again. We had McCain. Joke in all caps from Bernard. So how do you feel about that sentiment or this idea that it's like, I do think there's probably fair criticism to be made of Morey where it's a little bit, it's just a guy we know. And as you say, is in the system rather than maybe taking a chance on we talked about Tyrese Martin, for example, more of an unknown quantity, not a shooter, but maybe a more do it all young guy that you can develop
with some size.
Yeah. So how do you feel about Cam Payne in this light? What Bernard's talking about.
For me with this one, it's because like Bernard, it was clear that they weren't going, either they weren't going to go after those guys under their terms, or those guys had no interest in coming to Philadelphia with whatever role it might have been. Where Cam Payne is a little more hungry for it because he's overseas, wants to get back into the league. So Bernard, we were already upset with you make the first move with McCain, to your point, with the thinking of maybe this follows up with another bigger move to help out with the rotation in general, whether it's a wing or a guard or somewhere in that combination of guard forward, guard wing that can help out with those minutes there and those lineup constructions for Nick Nurse. So I am not, Haywood Highsmith, for people who don't know, he already signed with the Phoenix Suns, so he was off the board. That was one of our top guys. But in taking a chance on someone like Martin, if you weren't going to go after Cole Anthony or the injury history with Lonzo Ball, I was good with someone like Martin, but I also am good with something like this. This is not going to make up for Jared McCain. Jared McCain is 21 years old, and we thought that at some point it was going to come back more for the future. Cam Payne is for right now. And for whatever they saw with everything going on with Jared McCain, they felt like it wasn't maybe going to come back this season. That's still to be determined with OKC, how he plays within the construction of their rotation for the remainder of the year, including the playoffs, if he even gets any run in the playoffs on that deep team. Yeah. Here, he would have gotten some minutes. We know that. So I just look at it, Bernard, and say, at some point where people were saying, let's stop talking about the Jared McCain move. All right, we don't have to stop talking about it, but they were going to do something, and if this is the something, I'm okay with it. I would have preferred maybe Tyrese Martin just to see how that would have played out, but I am also okay with this because of the familiarity, and maybe he still has something left to help out and soak up some of those minutes. Because look, was Tyrese Martin going to play in the playoffs also? I don't think so.
Yeah, I would doubt it.
I don't think so. At least with Cam Payne, we know he's not afraid of the playoff moment. Playing in the finals, helping you in the Sixers, helping the Knicks a year ago. He's not afraid of the moment. It's not gonna scare him to be out there in a big spot where Nick Nurse says, "Hey, I need 5 minutes of energy. Go in there, please, and help us out." Yeah. So I'm fine with it for what it is. For looking at it, for what they just did, I am okay with it. Is it the move before the deadline I would have called for? Absolutely not.
No.
But since we are here, I'm okay with it.
I would say, I think you brought up an important point too, as you're talking about Highsmith and some of these other guys. One of the most important things, you need guys who want to be here. Like, if on paper it's like, oh, a guy's a better player, but the message you're giving to him is, hey, we don't know if you're going to play every night. And then that guy is, going to grumble about his role and his playing time and this and that. Like, think about, we're in a league where we just saw a story come out about Jonathan Kuminga's relationship with the Warriors, or I guess previous relationship with the Warriors, where his family or his friends eating too many sandwiches in the family room was like subject for a reported story and animosity between Kuminga and the organization. And so, like,
some good food there.
I say that to say people who want to be there and who are going to be, fit in with your culture, are going to uplift people every day, are not going to cause trouble. I'm not saying, like, just to be clear, I'm not saying that, like, Haywood Highsmith, if they had signed him, was, boy, I need XYZ and I'm going to cause trouble. But Cam Payne is a known quantity as a 14th, 15th guy on your roster in this instance who is not going to cause problems, knows Nick Nurse's system, has a defined skill set, as Devon said, has had big playoff moments. And if they don't play him, and I think there will be plenty of nights where he's not in the rotation, he's just sitting there, waving a towel, clapping, screaming, talking to the refs, chirping at people, like, he'll be fine. He's not going to be someone who's going to rock the boat. And in most cases, the player in that spot on the roster, that's what you need from them. Because what Cam Payne does in the playoffs, probably very little. What Cam Payne can do in terms of keeping the mood high, like helping the major players of the team stay locked in, stay focused, keep their mind on the task at hand, that stuff is very, very valuable. And I know it's hard to quantify. It's something that you don't see, even we don't see. Like, we're very close to the team. We don't get to see even a fraction of all that stuff that goes on. But you talk to these guys and they will all tell you that those little things add up and are very important in a locker room.
Yeah. I mean, look, we joke about towel waivers and all, but if he helps you in the regular season but doesn't play much in the postseason, one thing he will do is support his teammates and towel wave.
Absolutely.
Jump up after a heat check three that goes in, and he's the first one jumping off the bench as the opposing team calls a timeout, running to chest bump with Tyrese Maxey because of whatever happened. Also, the invaluable thing is where we make the joke about Kyle Lowry and all as the coach, but guards helping guards on the floor where, hey, man, this is what I saw real fast. I know it's just a little small moment, but I don't want to mess up whatever you're thinking out there on the floor. But this is what I saw. Maybe that extra step right there, and then boom, into that crossover might work out for you on that next play when you do it again. And those things also are important when it comes to signing a veteran like Cam Payne, having someone like Kyle Lowry on the roster. As much as we joke about it, those things are, in fact, important. So Cam Payne, he's in.
Welcome back, Cam. Terry Johnson.
Yes, Terry Johnson. Bree has a poll up there on the YouTube channel there asking simply, how do you feel about Cam Payne back to the Sixers? Please vote at the end of the show. Bree will give you the final results at the end. The question with it moves the needle for me. Not a fan of it. So vote while you're all here. And please hit the like button, like and subscribe, leave a comment as well. We appreciate it always here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. I'll ask Kyle one final thing about this on the other side. I'll even give you a heads up and give everybody else a heads up. Is there room for another person to be brought in here, maybe on a deal here for the remainder of the season like Cam Payne? What would that mean for the roster going forward? All of you can add to it. We brought up some names. Do you still want to look into those? Maybe on the wing, in the front court. We'll discuss it all as we hang out with you. Cam Payne is back. All-Star Weekend Conversations and Mailbag Monday with you right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast.
Guys, I tell you all the time, we deal with a lot of late nights covering the Sixers. And when you have late nights, you need something great to get you going in the morning. That's where the Wawa $5 big breakfast deal comes in. Here's what it comes with. You get any sizzly that you want. I am always bacon, egg, and cheese on a croissant. It's my go-to move. You get a hash brown, and then you get any coffee, any size, hot or iced. I'm an iced guy, and I need a large one in the morning to get going. All that for $5. It fills you up. It gives you like a little bit of everything, something cool, maybe something hot for you during the wintertime. It tastes great. And oh, by the way, it's only $5. And if you want to mix up the flavors, they also have their new caramel and chocolate craze flavors. I love caramel. I need something sweet all times of the day. So it comes in clutch for me at just $5. So 5 to 11 a.m., you got to be there for the big breakfast deal. You guys already know it. We say it all the time around here. Got to have a Wawa.
All right, let's talk about Monarch Money, everybody. Managing your money doesn't have to be a struggle this year. And one of the financial goals for 2026 is to cut down on unnecessary spending. That's mine. I know we think alike. Maybe you feel the same way. So set yourself up for financial success this year like I am with Monarch Money. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. Monarch is my go-to finance app. I hope that it would be yours as well. And they are not your average personal finance app. Monarch helps you to make proactive decisions, not just reactive. You can see exactly where your money is going. And with the automated tracking and clear projections, you are on your way to hitting the financial milestone of your choice. When it comes to relationships and marriage, money is a leading cause of relationship stress. Don't let it be. Set yourself up for financial success in 2026 with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes proactive money management simple all year long. Use code PHLY at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code PHLY. Welcome back here on the PHLY Sixers podcast, a Cam Payne and Mailbag Monday day, plus all-star thoughts as well. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hope you all had a great Valentine's weekend and took advantage of those sandwiches on Sunday.
Dollar
too.
singles at
Dollar
Wendy's. Singles
Day.
Awareness Day.
Right. All right, Kyle, ask going into the break, you and the people in the chat, everybody. All right, 14 now with Cam Payne being brought back. There are 14 roster spots, standard roster spots signed up. You have the 3 two-ways with Beauchamp, Jabari Walker, and Dalen Terry. Your 2 10-day contracts, Charles Bassey and Patrick Baldwin Jr., expired. Charles Bassey no longer available.
Yeah, he's got two 10 days, so that's the most.
So he's done.
Him.
Baldwin Jr. eligible for another, or someone outside that they have not brought in yet for a 10-day contract if they would like. But would you like to see them, because we talked about it so much this season, would you like to see them either convert Walker to that spot or just simply use that 15th and final roster spot in general?
Well, yeah, they definitely need to use it because there's no upside at this point to keeping it open. Going into the deadline is one thing, and they tend to do this every year. in case you're doing consolidation trades. Some of it is where's Derek? The quack, ducking the tax purposes. You carry 14 for a good chunk of the year. But also to be able to use your two-way guys, they are out of days that they can use on two-way players if their roster is not at 15. So Dalen Terry, Beauchamp. Walker is out of. I think we might have had a super chat, Bree, asking about Jabari Walker. Yeah, Yams asked, where in the world is Jabari Walker and Carmen Sandiego? So he said Santiago, but I believe it's San Diego. Just making sure I didn't Mandela affect myself into. Anyway, so Jabari is out of. He has used his maximum allotment of days that he can be available on his two-way. So the only way that Jabari can play for the Sixers again is if they sign him to a standard deal for the rest of this season or potentially beyond. I actually think it's a little bit messed up that he's just been kind of twisting in the wind here as they figure out what their end of the roster situation is. I would be fine-ish with bringing Walker in. I do think I would probably prioritize if somebody like a Chris Middleton got bought out, and there's been conflicting rumors and reports on that front. I talked to someone at the game last week who thought that Middleton would get bought out, despite the fact that I think people in Dallas have pushed back on that. I would be interested in him as again, shooting off the bench. I'm not expecting him to play on a regular basis, but it's another shooting option. He's 6'7", been in a lot of big playoff games and moments, like whatever. You know what you're getting there. I think I'd rather roll the dice on him in a good situation rather than what he's shown in Washington this year than to sign Jabari, because they do have Barlow. They do have Watford. And then you're playing wings. So I don't know that they need what Walker brings specifically, but they got to use the roster spot. So to me, it just becomes about who wants to be here or who theoretically wants to be here and who has the kind of skill match that you need for this team. So they have, let's see, March 1st is the deadline for players to get waived so you can get them on the team on the playoff roster. So they have about a week and a half or so before it's like final cuts that need to be made. I think Jabari's probably going to have to wait this out unless we're getting news later today. I would expect someone will sign a 10-day so they can use the two-way guys, but nothing else for the time being.
Welcome back, Patrick Baldwin Jr. for right now for another 10-day to see what he looks at. All right, so if Middleton, I think we're all in agreement there that we would go Middleton over Walker. Niang, would you go Niang over Walker? So let's play a little versus here. It's the PHLY edition of versus, sports related. Niang versus Walker, where would you lean? If he's bought out, because he also, too, not bought out yet.
I might go Walker just because, like, George has not really been on the floor, and that's a little bit tougher to. I value the shooting as a differentiator between the other guys that have at the position more with George, but I think Jabari is a known quantity that I expect is going to be on the floor if you sign him. So I think I probably lean Jabari, but I don't feel great about it one way or another. I would say that. All
right, last one. I already know the answer, but I have to say it because it is part of the verses here. As we see, Nona says Niang, Val says Walker. So the split between the ladies, but I'll ask you, Walker versus Boucher.
Walker.
Yeah.
And so to be clear, if it's Walker versus Boucher, Walker is getting that deal. I feel pretty damn confident that that's the case. How about where are you at on? I assume you're on Walker versus Boucher. Where are you at between Niang and Walker?
I just don't know. As much as we've seen from Walker this year, they've had to play him out of necessity. They had to play him when they played him because of the injuries and so forth. The Niang part, I think that the energy that he brings, Walker, is different from the energy that George's energy is, I'm knocking down shots, and that's going to
talking trash.
Yeah, that's going to ignite the crowd. That's going to ignite my teammates. We're going to go on a 12-4 run, and they're going to call a timeout in this game where we know Walker's going to bring that energy, but it's not. It's going to be a little bit different, and I wonder which one Nurse would lean more towards is important for this year because George Niang hasn't been here for a little bit and Walker has been. But even when Walker was healthy, he didn't seem like he was committed to playing him regularly, even though we got some good nights and some pretty good minutes and some good all right, he had this good week and he didn't have this good week, so he wouldn't play him in a few of these games as well. And we already knew about the numbers crunch as far as the games because of the two-way contract. That's a tough one, man, because I think I would lean Walker just because we haven't seen Niang play all season long. We don't know about the foot. I would probably lean more towards Walker for right now. Understand the reasoning why it would be Niang.
Yeah.
Because if he hits his shots, man, that's just going to spark some things and it's going to work. And Joel trusts him. Maxey trusts him. They will find him for some open opportunities out there on the floor. The other fun part, as I mentioned last week, would just be the nice little discourse between he talks junk. He was talking junk to Quentin Grimes. I can't wait to find out how they are in the locker room together. Be a fun pairing to be teammates. You're only getting this done because those guys are not playing. That was courtesy of George Niang last year as a member of the Atlanta Hawks. So I would lean Walker, but man, George Niang in the Sixers uniform was fun. Is he done? You just don't know if he's done or not. But I would go Chris Middleton like Kyle as the number one if that happened. If they went, last one, Tyrese Martin, Jabari Walker. We haven't seen Tyrese Martin since he left Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. But if it was between those two, would you have where did you lean?
At this point, I think I'd go Walker
Same.
Just for front court type guys.
Yeah.
I don't know that Martin has a path here anymore.
Yep. All
right.
That'll do it for the Cam Payne / final roster spot conversation here on the show. No, we have not yet. I know Bree answered it, but we have not talked All-Star Weekend yet. We'll get to that. We also have mailbag questions on the other side that we want to throw out there for everybody who shared some of those. So when we come back, it's the mailbag portion of the Mailbag Monday show, and we'll get to All-Star Weekend. It's the PHLY Sixers podcast on a Monday presented by Bet365.
Guys, everybody's got their favorite hard tea. Maybe you're just trying to get through a late night Sixers game. You're going out on the town, whatever it might be. You know what you're turning to. But have you ever turned the can around to read what's in it? You can't because they won't tell you while they hide what's inside. Crooked Tea is bragging about what they're giving you, which is real USDA organic tea from our friends at Crooked Tea. That means there's real flavor with zero sugar. There is no fake junk hiding behind the label. What you see is what you drink. So the next time you're at the store, you're out on the town, I need you to flip the can. And if you can't find the ingredients, put it back. Grab a Crooked Tea with zero sugar, real tea, fully transparent. You know it, Philly. Real recognizes real. You don't need to drink the fake stuff. When you have Crooked Tea right there in your hand, available everywhere, Crooked Tea, the only thing better is a strip sack in the Super Bowl. Visit crookedtea.com to find it in a store near you.
All right, team, what kind of dreams did you have when you were growing up as a kid? What did you want to be? What were your goals there? A lot of you had that entrepreneurship bone in you where you wanted to start your own business. Well, if that's the case and you're thinking about it right now, you're thinking about starting your own business, Shopify is the place for you. Shopify is the e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. Shopify even powers the PHLY merch store here at the PHLY network. Shopify has got you covered with the website creation, product descriptions, email, and social media marketing as well. Much, much more. They also have AI design tools to help you maximize your sales. So turn your business, your big business, into cha-ching with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling at shopify.com/allcity. That's shopify.com/allcity. Ah, look at that. That cash money.
Cha-ching.
Shopify. Cha-ching. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers podcast. It's time for the mailbag portion of the show on a Monday. Let's get to it. First, thanks everybody for sending these questions in. Now let's get to the questions on a mailbag Monday. Bree, what do we have to start things off? As I throw in my glasses and
I'll read them. I got a good angle on this.
I'm good.
You sure?
I'm good. By the eye test, VJ has been amazing this year. His advanced stats aren't as strong. How much of that is having to carry units with Maxey off the court? And where do you expect that to improve the most next year? Thank you, Golden Pine.
I guess we would thank you, Golden Pine, for the question. Some of that would come down to he's not shooting the ball that well from the field. When you shoot 42.3% from the field, most advanced metrics are not going to be very pleased with your output. That's just kind of fact of life on that front. Most of the basic metrics are quite pleased with VJ, like all the plus minus stuff or like the lineup data when he's on the floor. It hasn't necessarily mattered which stars he's playing with, but if he's out there with Maxey or Embiid or Paul George, generally they are succeeding. And so the big thing that I think you're seeing is that when he's being asked to carry the team or carry a lineup, he's not there yet. He doesn't have the well-rounded enough skill set yet. He's not as dynamic of a scorer yet that he can just be like, hey, it's VJ and 3 or 4 role players and they're going to go out there and cook. Like, he is a combo guard that is trying to find his exact lane between the two backcourt spots. I think he's probably a 2 guard with playmaking ability long term. I don't know that he could be a true point guard type guy.
We've still seen so many fantastic things. He's still a rookie.
Yeah, he's 20 years old. He's learning on the fly on a team that has real expectations. Again, like, there have been guys, including Ace Bailey. Like, Ace Bailey's had some nice stretches here since the start of 2026, and he's able to do it on a team that the only reason anyone's paying attention to Utah is when they're throwing games, essentially, right? So a lot of these guys are just getting to do what they're doing and work on their craft in relative anonymity. Same thing with Trey Johnson would be another guy I can bring up. Khan right now is a focal point on a team that's on the rise, so a little bit different for him, and he's been just flat out great for most of this year. But
all of these guys, except for VJ Edgecombe and Khan Kanipo, are in playoff races here.
Yeah,
where Fears and Queen, you also have Cedric Coward. They're not doing anything in Memphis. So all these players, Kyle, that you're talking about, they are allowed to make mistakes where it doesn't really impact wins and losses for their teams that matter for a playoff position.
Yeah, so it's a tricky. He's in a position that in a lot of cases, this is where a late first round pick will find themselves, which is night to night. You don't know what your role will look like, how you're going to have to impact the game, where your shots are going to come from. And it's why the hit rate on those guys, on top of the various talent factors and scouting stuff, how that factors in. But it's part of why when you draft guys in the late first onto good teams, it is hard for those guys to find their way. And a lot of times those guys end up being better on their second team or on the second contract, where it's like, all right, I have finally found my way, where the guys at the top of the draft, on top of being more talented, also just have the runway to be like, ball's in your hands and you can kind of do whatever you want. Like Cooper Flagg, tremendous rookie, tremendous season that he's having after the tough start. And a big part of that is because he was just, they didn't really care about the wins and losses. It was, we're going to let you play point guard. Yeah. We're going to let you experiment. We're going to give you the ball and you can do absolutely whatever you want all the time. That's not VJ's life, but I still think he's getting a lot of really meaningful and important reps this year. And I expect over time, like with a lot of players, the advanced numbers will trend upward, as will the regular traditional numbers.
And at least for the remainder of this year, I still think it's important that he's missing Paul George right now. So with these games that he's not playing, those also factor into the stats. And rookie wall, Paul George not being available for all of the games, not even before the suspension, but being off the floor because of the time that he needed on the second night of a back-to-back or 3-game stretch where he just did not play. Paul George being back later in the year, maybe that'll help him as well. And honestly, if Quentin Grimes was playing like we thought Quentin Grimes might play, that might also be helping VJ Edgecombe this year. But Grimes has not played as of late like the one we expected. Thanks for the question, Golden Pine. Let's get to the next one here, Bree, on the Mailbag Monday and see where we go here next. We go to Dr. Blah. Assuming the playoff rotation is Maxey, VJ, Oubre, Paul George, and Embiid, Grimes, Barlow, and Bona, that's your 8. Who do you think gets the last spot and a half? Which finishes higher? Andre Drummond made threes, 19, or Kyle Lowry, total points, 12? Can we start with that one?
the second question there.
Yeah.
Andre Drummond made threes.
I agree.
Because now that Cam Payne is in, I think that
he's
Lowry is not going to play unless there's like a total emergency.
Yep, more opportunity for Andre Drummond there. So where's your 9 and maybe 9.5?
Well, I think it's two obvious guys. I think it's Trendon Watford, and I think it's Justin Edwards. And Edwards is more in the half. I think Edwards is a guy that if he is in a game in the first half and he doesn't play well, I don't think he's in the game in the second half. Watford, I think, is someone that Nurse is more willing to allow to play through struggles because it's not as binary as Trendon makes shots or Trendon's out of the game. It's more he can bring us playmaking value. He can be a short roll threat. He's big enough that he can post guys up if there's, a mismatch where they run a lot of actions, and they're not unique in this, but the Sixers run a lot of actions early in the shot clock to see, all right, are you going to switch this? And so if teams switch more freely, they just say, we're happy switching 1 through 4, 1 through 5. That's a style of defense that Watford can attack, because if Trendon Watford gets a guard on him or gets a smaller wing on him, he's big enough and he's got the old man game that he'll put you into the stanchion or put you near the rim, seal you, score 2 points, get fouled, whatever it might be. And so I think Watford is a pretty clear rotation guy at this point, as long as he's able to stay healthy. And then Edwards is more of a, how well does he defend down the stretch? Is he making shots or not? I think Nurse wants him to get there. I think the organization wants him to get there. You tell me, do you see the level of trust in Edwards there? I just think he's kind of on the borderline, but those are the two guys for sure.
Let me push back on the Edwards side and go, because we don't know what Bona is, it might be Drummond.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I don't think
we know that they could be a combo, but since that wasn't the question of it being a combo, it was just more of Bona's your first.
No, I think that's a good point.
Guy. I think Drummond might also be that half.
Yeah, because Adem at his ceiling, I think, can be a better player than Drummond is currently. But how often do we see that?
Especially in the playoffs, we don't know.
Right. And when they're in a situation, like let's say they play the Knicks. If they play the Knicks in the playoffs, that is a team where the whole story going in is going to be how well do they rebound? How well can they deal with? And look, we said it after the Knicks game the other night. All of us watched that game. Drummond didn't do anything to stop Mitchell Robinson from absolutely pasting them on the glass. And they specifically gamed the matchups to get Drummond on the floor with him. So I'm not saying that putting Drummond in the game would have any impact on that. But I do think that Nick Nurse would look at him and say, he's someone that's a candidate to play in the playoffs over Adem if Adem's not able to do his job in those 10 to 15 minutes, because how the story is as old as Joel Embiid's Sixers career. He goes off the floor and everything just goes completely haywire. And when that's the case, sometimes you just have to say, if Andre Drummond goes in there and he rebounds and he does nothing else, Nick Nurse might be happy with that in a playoff game in 10, 12 minutes, whatever he's going to play.
All right. Thanks for the question, Dr. Blah. When we come back, our final mailbag questions, all-star thoughts, and a shout-out on the tribute to someone as well. We'll do all that. Final break here on the PHLY Sixers podcast.
And guys, next up, we want to tell you about Xfinity, specifically their 5-year price guarantee. Because what if you could have reliable, intelligent Wi-Fi? And what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Imagine Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together, that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. And Wi-Fi that lets you stream the game even when the whole family's online. All your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. And here's the best part. There's no annual contracts, no hidden fees, and it is Xfinity's best equipment included. Take it from me, a lot can change in 5 years. Championships are won, records are broken, the Sixers will go through 3 or 4 coaches. But your Wi-Fi, it should stay reliable, and the price should stay put. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only, restrictions apply.
All right, folks, it's gotten a little cold outside, and those joints are tightened up. The back is aching a little bit, and you don't want pain or injury disrupting your routine. Getting the right care shouldn't be a hassle either. Rothman Orthopedics, they make it easy with convenient office locations throughout the region, plus walk-in and urgent care centers when you need help fast. And I got to tell you, I'm proud to tell you that Rothman proudly serves the communities across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Florida with 30-plus convenient offices, urgent cares, and walk-in centers as well. Whether it's a new injury or something that's been bothering you for a while, expert orthopedic care is right around the corner. Schedule your appointment today at rothmanortho.com/PHLY. Don't let all of your joints freeze up on you. Get it checked out so you're not experiencing any pain and you can get helped out at Rothman Orthopedics. Your mobility, you got to get it right. Our mission. All right, final segment here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. Kyle, Devon, Bree, all of you, thank you. Yam says, I've seen Drummond get run off the court as much as I've seen Adem get in foul trouble. That just means it's not perfect. It's just not. And that's why we talked about, are they going to make a move at the deadline to bring in a big man to help out? Because we don't know where the trust level is with those two. And if Embiid can't go, you're going to have to lean on those guys. We've even talked about Yams Barlow playing some small ball five just to help them out. So we'll see where it goes.
Mello brought up a good point in the chat. I wonder if Cam can help Bone out a little bit with just like a few lob throws a game.
Where he doesn't have to
Run
put the
that
ball
pick
on
and
the
roll.
floor,
Yeah.
just catch and finish.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Good point, Mello.
Yep. Good point. Good point. We love a good lob on this show. Yes,
The
absolutely.
lob king of PHLY, Devon Gibbons.
Absolutely. And Nona says she's got to get an appointment to Rothman. Well, tell them, Nona, that we sent you. You know, just go ahead, check out rothmanortho.com/PHLY. Let them know that you heard it here. Drop our names.
Get well soon, Nona.
Get well soon. I'm sore.
Devon's on the mend. He told me this weekend he finally got back out there and played some real hoops this weekend.
I did.
Proud of my guy.
One of my buddies called. I've been playing basketball with this guy for like 18 years, and he hit me up and was like, yo, are you ready yet? And I was like, all right, I'm going to go. I went, played 5 games. Probably overtaxed it. I probably shouldn't have done the 5 games, but, you know, it was good runs. And I wasn't thinking about it all that much. After like that first couple of sprints to move and do all that, I stretched. I did everything I was supposed to do, and it felt good. I'm sore as hell, but it felt good to get out there and play. And yes, it was good. So the Achilles guys are back, man. Me, Dame Lillard.
Thank you, Rothman.
Yes, me, Dame Lillard. We'll talk about Jason Tatum a little bit later, but you know, we're all back. Thank you all because of Rothman getting me back on the men and me finally getting over that as we talk about the mental hurdle of getting out there and just playing, just doing it. And I just went out there and I did it. So yes, Gene, the PHLY Invitational is finally back. Let's talk about it. All right, let's talk about more mailbag questions on this Monday. From Jamie.
Maybe just Jamie with no E.
With no E. Both Maxey and VJ had great all-star experiences this weekend. What do you think they can take from this past weekend to bring back to the team for the remainder of the season?
So I don't think there's a ton. I would say it's probably more meaningful for VJ than Maxey, just in the sense that he had the opportunity to go there and be like the guy in a way that is really not possible.
It was
for
Summer
him.
League VJ all over again.
Yes, where it's like,
he knew.
Get out the way. We're going to send you 2 ball screens, ISO, hitting mid-range step backs, which is not to say he gets to take some of those shots here, but it's not the same level of, hey, let's get this guy the ball. Like, you were Vince Carter's #1 pick in that draft for that Rising Stars game. And I think it was also a reminder. I know he's been in a tough spot shooting the ball lately, and he's been fatigued and whatnot. And there are a lot of reasons for VJ to be up and down, some of which is just he's playing a lot of games and a lot of minutes. But a good reminder to himself, like, yeah, you've hit a lot of big shots in big moments. He gave the interview that we talked about Friday. And then he goes out and he plays in that game, and he hits the game winner in the semi. He hits the game-winning free throws after already making, energy, hustle type plays late in the final to put them in that position. And it's a small reminder to him, like, look, dude, you're outperforming most of the guys in this class, which has been a very good class. Find that guy again. For Maxey, I'm not sure. It's like when you start in the All-Star game, I think that in itself has already given you the mental lift. But certainly when you get to go and win those games and be on the winning team, it's like, yeah, there's no reason I can't go out and win a bunch of games to close out the season and then go have success in the playoffs. These guys are my peers. I'm not looking up to these guys anymore. I'm just one of those guys. So if anything, that's what I would say you follow up on this type of game with.
No, it was cool to see VJ go into takeover mode like he was in Summer League, as Kyle just brought up, because that VJ is ultra confident. So when we talk about all of the fatigue, the tiredness, hitting the rookie wall, he will hit the wall once again. He will do that just because it's a long season. But this break was good. He, after Friday, is off from Saturday until we think they practice on Wednesday, and they have a home game on Thursday. So he doesn't have to do any extra travel after being back on the floor. So having that runway for him, where he's still, while he's done it, there's still something there where you have to figure out mentally to fight through all of these different things. But to have the ball in his hands the way that he did, and I mean rebounding the ball, pushing the break, clearing out, calling for a screen to get the shots off, he was in his element where he's like, after all of these minutes that we've had on the floor, I'm better than all these guys. And I'm going to show it. And he did it again. And that was great for him. So I don't know if it will, I really don't know if it helps out all that much because like Kyle said, he's done this already. The shots just haven't fallen like you've wanted to see.
Look at those stats. 22-7, 8 for 13. You don't get 2 game winners in one night very often, which is to say never.
Nah. So he got the game winner first on the on the mid-range jump shot from the elbow, and then he got the walk-off free throws to give them their target score of, I believe it was 25 in that final part of the game. So he had a great weekend. It was great to see it. Having the smile on his face all weekend, having people talk about VJ Edgecombe who may not have seen, even though the Sixers have been on television a lot, it's been a lot of Embiid and Maxey because of their years individually, where we've talked, a lot of people outside of Philadelphia have talked about VJ because he's been one of the better rookies, but it was really good to see him on that stage getting the recognition that we've seen all season long. And for Maxey, like you said, look, it's good that, number one, he was announced a starter, so he feels good about that. His peers have openly spoken about how good he has been, and in year 6, he knows that he belongs. So if he keeps this up, he's a yearly participant. Every time now we see this where we expected Joel Embiid to be there, we expect Tyrese Maxey to be there. Yep. That's who he is now. So I even saw it with him. All right, Saturday wasn't good for him. That's the first time. I think that was the first time in the competition, 3-point competition for him. He'll be back at it another time and he'll perform better. But Sunday night, I didn't see him overtax himself.
Yeah.
I saw him pacing himself, passing the basketball a lot, throwing some lobs, some kick-ahead passes to his guys. He was running point guard for Team Stars? He was running point guard for Team Stars. He had a nice stretch where he scored about 7 in a row or 9 of their last 12, but he didn't overdo it. So when we were worried about him and his tiredness, he didn't overdo it. And that's where I was happy about. Won the championship. Wasn't all worried about that trophy. He was looking at it, but he wasn't worried about it. He has his eyes set on a lot more. Maxey even talked about it after the game, post-game, where he was asked about what would this help you out for the second half of the season. He was like, I just want to win. Yes. And that's where they are. Answer questions about Joel Embiid, that he's said the same thing from the beginning of the year, but this is a larger media market or larger media access with the All-Star. And he loves that Embiid is happy, loves the fact that the joy is back for him in the game, and they feel like they can compete. We talked on Friday about VJ Edgecombe and his comment, we can beat anybody in the Eastern Conference. And that confidence continued to show where he carried that into that Friday game where he felt like he was the best. So if you get that version of VJ Edgecombe when it matters most, that is heading into the end part of their schedule in the regular season in April and then going into the playoffs, they do have a shot to really, really compete in the postseason.
And I just love that Maxey was at the Rising Stars and like very vocally supported his guy too. I think that was a cool thing. He could have been at almost anywhere else at some all-star party or whatever.
Guess what, Kyle? None of the other stars were there.
They were not. So for Maxey to be there courtside filming and then, gets to celebrate with VJ, I thought that was a cool moment for the young teammates for sure.
Yep, absolutely. So shout out to them. And just quickly, what did you think of for what you were able to catch?
Which is not very much because I was on husband duties for most of the weekend.
Husband duty, you might make sure your wife.
Shout out to the wifey.
Yeah. What did you make of what you saw from the weekend?
Well, obviously the VJ stuff is great. I would say from the bits and pieces I saw while I was out at dinner again last night, Sunday night, it seemed like guys competed, which that's the whole thing. And it's going to be now because the format changed. Like, the format solved everything. And like, I don't believe that. I don't know if the format did anything, but if it did, then great. Then keep using this format. I think the shorter games to a lower score, it prevents blowouts where like in a blowout in an all-star game, if you go down like 30 or whatever, it's already a game where guys don't want to go too hard. And it just becomes impossible to reel that in. Whereas with the short games, no one can get out to too big of a lead where there's at least a little bit of pushback. And I think the other thing that I noticed from checking in intermittently was without all the hoopla in between the games, like the Inside the NBA the mid-game special that derailed the game last year, it was just a focus more on basketball. And like that helps keep the players ready. It keeps them focused. Yeah. And like Wemby came out and competed hard. I know the world team didn't make the final, but like when he comes out and plays hard, Kawhi, frankly, was probably the biggest surprise for me that he came out and was in like apex predator mode. So when you get an effort like him or effort from a player like him who not knowing whether he's going to play has been the story of his last few years up until this year, I think that naturally kind of brings everyone along. So it really doesn't take a lot. If you get 2 or 3 guys on different teams that actually want to go out there and compete, the rest of the guys will rise up and meet that level. So I was glad that everyone seemed to be happy with the general level. I will say Jokic and Luka get into just there's a whole conversation to be had about that. Maybe that's an off-air topic for Devon and I to discuss. But I think the events looked horrible. The All-Star game looked better, and I care more about that than the dunk contest or whatever anyway.
Yeah, we actually have a short out there, everybody. If you want to go check it out, spread the word, talking about the dunk contest, please go check it out on our YouTube page, PHLY_sports, to check that out because the dunk contest is done. It's over.
I'm sorry. My guy, Jace Richardson, that spill he took, I was like, oh, man, they did my guy so bad.
That was bad, man. You don't want to see that, right? You want to try different things, but you don't want to see it get hurt. And all, but man, the dunk contest is done. I did enjoy, we were out to dinner also, but I did watch because of where we were, the television, they had all the events on. Yeah. So saw the 3-point contest. So we were invested in seeing what Maxey did. The Lillard story look, it's just cool to me that, he got injured in April or May. I think it was in April. And he comes back and win. I mean, he and Booker were going at it. And you see Knipple come out and set the tone early for a rookie to drop the numbers that he did. So he and Donovan Mitchell put up, I think, 27 and 25 or 29 and 27, something. And it was just really, really cool. So that competition to me still lives because shooters, when you watch the best shoot like that and listening to Tim Legler, we had him a conversation.
Tim was great over the weekend.
So if you haven't seen
that,
please go check that out also for our conversation with Tim Legler that we had over the weekend leading into the All-Star events. And to watch the best shooters shoot and for them to just – that stuff is cool to me. So I'm still in on the 3-point contest. Yeah. The skills challenge is fine because it's what it is. It's fine. It's whatever. We're going into overtime, everybody, by the way. Thank you on the television side. We'll be back on Wednesday at 3 p.m. And we hope to see you all here with us. Head on over to allphly.com for the remainder of the show. But the dunk contest is through. What I liked about the new format for not just the All-Star game, but for the Rising Stars Challenge also on Friday night, it's like they were playing pickup basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a target score. I do not want to lose to you. I am going to show you up, and I am going to beat you, whether it's 45-42 or 29-27. I am going to do all of it. I'm still going to get off my long three-pointers from 40 feet, and I'm going to get my dunks in. I'm going to throw my lobs. I'm going to get my steals and play the passing
Go off
lane.
the backboard.
Yeah, I'm going to do all those things. But in the end, I want to have those little bragging rights that I just beat you here and we knocked your team out. And if you look at it, Team Stars wins the championship against Stripes. Stripes beat them 42-40 in the second quarter. So a little revenge on the comeback for Team Stars to beat Stripes the way that they did. And that's what I like. I like the target score. And it went from the target score for Rising Stars, but the number that you had in terms of time, where it was condensed to that 10 minutes, I believe it was, for those. I do like that, and that gets it really competitive. Still got to have your subs where it's 3 guys coming off the bench, but to see Kawhi Leonard just go nuclear the way that he did in that game against World.
God, listen, man, people have been talking about this more recently, and it's crazy to think about. He, depending on what happens with all these other guys who are very close or already out for MVP eligibility, it seems pretty unlikely given where the Clippers are.
Yeah.
He might get in that MVP mix, man. Like
he might.
He's been that good for like 2 solid months now. And if Jokic, Giannis, we'll see about SGA, how bad this ab thing is and how cautious they are with it. Like, you start going down the list, it's like, man.
It's the 2 Jalen's.
Yeah.
Kawhi, Wembanyama, if he plays enough.
And Wemby's like, I don't know if he can miss any games like the rest of the year.
Right,
I
yeah,
don't know
because
what
he's missed a decent amount. And then Kawhi is right there in the mix.
So
he really is.
We'll see. But yeah, the dunk contest, man.
It's bad.
Oh, brother. The big problem is exactly what you're talking about is good about the 3-point contest. Nobody participates in it. It's like, I mean, no disrespect to Keyshawn Johnson, but like, who cares that he won? And same thing with like Mac McClung, all-time dunker, right? Like, he's incredible. Wins 3 years in a row, and he showed some stuff and like on Instagram or whatever.
Which
like,
was crazy.
Here's what I would have done. But like, end of the day, like, am I turning my if I'm at a bar, and it's just like you're in a mixed setting, you're at a party, whatever. Are you going to go up to someone and be like, yo, can you turn that off and make sure Mac McClung is like, I don't think so.
Nah.
If VJ and like a bunch of exciting young players, if it was when Ja Morant and Zion came into the league, like that was okay. I will change the channel. I'll go out of my way. Anthony Edwards, whoever. And I hate that it's become a thing that is viewed as like, who cares? And I know that it's also tough because there is a degree to which every dunk has been done at this point. But then Mac McClung posts like a sizzle reel on YouTube. And it's like,
I haven't seen that one before.
All right, man. Maybe you guys just need to get in the lab a little bit more.
Or some of the street dunkers that they put now in competitions that you're like, hey, whoa, what was that? The guy comes, I remember this one. He's coming from the corner and someone threw him a lob. He catches it, Kyle, and goes behind his back like this and dunks it behind from side. And it's like, whoa, I've never seen that in the dunk contest.
Yeah. Hey, you just have to.
Carter Bryant brought out Vince Carter's windmill from when he did it in 2000.
The Jackson Hayes one,
great.
Of course, was so bad where he just like, what are you doing, man? Just no.
What is he doing? He doesn't belong.
As the kids say, he's got no aura. That's just one of the problems on top
no
of many
juice,
other
man.
problems with him. But here's the thing, right?
By the way,
in the top.
All-Star Weekend is in Phoenix next year.
Yeah. So Booker will be in that 3-point contest.
And
I'll tell you
Curry
that.
already said, I'm back.
Him, Dame,
he wants
Booker,
to bring everybody,
yeah.
and Klay Thompson as well.
So I don't understand why there's a community, like the shooters they're not worried about, if I lose or I embarrass myself. I get it's different where you're shooting it, however many times versus either make or miss the dunk. And that's but I don't know why it has gotten to this point. And I try to think of it up from the perspective of you and I are like top 1% of basketball watchers, followers, whatever. You have to think of it from the perspective of just like the average person who you have to make them aware of the dunk contest in the first place. But then like they're like, oh, the dunk contest is on. Who's in it? And you give them a list of names, none of which they would have ever heard of before. Why are they watching it? What's their reason to tune in? Some of the memories that we went back through these the other day. We were like, what are some of your worst All-Star Weekend memories?
Jackson,
and it's like
Jackson Hayes jumps right up to the top.
Well,
now.
it's like, but some of them are guys who were stars who just like sucked in the contest, but they still put themselves out there and tried to go and compete. So I don't know. I think that's my problem with it. Something was lost along the way. Get the stars back in the dunk contest.
I will give, like, as Bree plays this compilation here, that Keyshawn Johnson one from the free throw line where he windmills it from the free throw line or from inside the free throw line, not bad at all. That was really good. And
E40 moment too, of course.
E40 coming out, yeah. And then the one that I brought up with Carter Bryant, that was pretty good. The Vince Carter dunk that he did, and Jace Richardson is right. The East Bay Funk dunk right there that Carter Bryant just did. That's not easy. That is not easy. This is the Vince Carter one right here too. So just if you, to your point, you can still do some of the dunks that have been done before. Try to do it better.
Make it look cool.
Yeah, make it look cooler.
And make it on the first try. Like that's Zach LaVine won that dunk contest, not necessarily because he had better like him and Aaron Gordon, we can argue over and over and over again. He won because he made it look awesome. And he did it all on the first try. Like the dunk contest is not that complicated. Like jump high, jump far, do a trick, and make it on the first try. That you will entertain the crowd even if you don't win. And that's really what this is all about.
Yep.
Anyway, I spent more time talking about this right now than I spent watching the dunk contest. So that shows you where we're at.
So Phoenix next year, everybody. We'll see how many. Tyrese Maxey, we hope that he's there again. VJ Edgecombe will be there regardless because of the second year man that he is in the Rising Stars Challenge. So he will be there again, we think. And will Joel Embiid be in the mix as well? What other Sixers will be in the All-Star Weekend festivities next year in Phoenix, which is a fun city, by the way, everybody. LA is really, really busy. Phoenix, it's really, everything is right in the same area when it comes to what they want to do. So if you're able to get to Phoenix and you feel like you want to go represent and see your guys in Phoenix next year, 2027, go for it. Go have at it. And I'm sure our people, our teammates at PHNX will have a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Next season, I'm sure they're anticipating this, especially with Booker involved and so on and so forth. So should be another fun one. We'll see what adjustments are made. I think they did get it right, though, with the All-Star game. We don't have enough time to really talk about how you guys feel about the earlier start time versus a normal 7, 8 o'clock start Eastern Standard Time versus the 5 o'clock start. We'll see how that plays out. Because if you saw the photos, if you didn't see the game, like Kyle said, or the festivities, especially on Friday and Saturday, it's 2 o'clock in Los Angeles. Not a lot of people filling those seats at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And for those
I will
events.
say the only way I'll defend the NBA on this, and some of it, maybe they should charge lower ticket prices in the first place and not give them the resellers. Some of that is just people can't afford ticket prices, let alone want to go, right? That's a bigger discussion, but things are expensive and people aren't making the amount of money that they should be for making an honest living.
And last thing on this, I didn't mind the start time just because growing up, when I would watch All-Star games on Sunday, they were like 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I was perfectly fine with those.
Because they're mostly for kids.
Yeah.
Like it's to get the youth into the game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. If we have any leftover mailbags, we thank everybody. We went a little long here. We got to get to some super chats. So an extension of the mailbag here with some super chats.
And I think we are going to use a mailbag question potentially later in the week. I had Bree hold aside. So.
All right. Perfect. All right. So we will acknowledge those as the week goes on. We are off on Tuesday and Friday. So we'll be with you on Wednesday. Thursday, the Sixers play their first game back from the All-Star break against Atlanta. That's a home game. So we'll be with you for pre and post on Thursday, 3 o'clock on Wednesday. A lot of practice, so I'm sure we'll discuss some of that there. You better love somebody, love somebody. Super chat. Do you believe that VJ Edgecombe has the clutch gene?
Sure looks like it.
We've seen it in these summer league settings, All-Star, and we've seen him the layup put back against the Warriors. That's a clutch gene. You have to do that. It doesn't have to be a final walk-off jump shot to do that. The free throws, obviously, and at All-Star Weekend, the free throws and the elbow jumper to win the games there, and we saw what he did in summer league. I think it's in there. It's just we have to see more. He's only 50 games into his NBA career. I think he has that.
I think what I'm confident in saying is he does not fear failure. And that, to me, is one of the most, not just in basketball, it's one of the most important qualities you can have in life. It's okay to mess up and to miss game-winning shots, and you try something that doesn't work out. Where you get in trouble, especially as a basketball player, is when you're not willing to attempt something because it's already in your head like, well, what if I don't make this? What if I don't? We won't mention his name. Everyone knows who I'm referring to. There's a very famous #1 overall pick around here who I believe that undercut his career, but I think VJ is cut from the right stuff in that regard.
Yep, I agree. I think he's somebody that he's not worried about that moment. All right, let's go to Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats. Lowry taking a roster spot is really, I quit.
Coach Lowry, baby. Coach Kyle. Amazon Prime host himself.
Surprised he wasn't doing well. It wasn't Amazon this weekend. It was NBC. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, he wasn't doing anything.
I wonder if Amazon has any kind of all-star rights. I don't actually know the particulars of.
Yeah, I wanted to do
that deal.
Swap it like the Super Bowl or something.
I feel like no, just because I think they like having that stuff on network TV rather than on like a streamer.
People would riot anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They don't have access. All right, Bernard McCoy, Tyrese, use your mental to overcome fatigue. It makes me think about Marshawn Lynch immediately.
He was in a movie I watched kind of recently that I did not know he was in.
Comedy action movie?
It was a comedy. It's like a high school movie.
Yeah. I saw that. I know exactly what you're talking about. I'll look it up while you talk about
Bottoms. That's what it's called. Yeah. Okay. He was pretty funny in it. He was like a teacher who's in charge of a self-defense club.
I did not see this post Marshawn Lynch career.
I was like, hold on. Why is Marshawn Lynch in this movie? He was pretty funny.
He's good. His post-career has been really good. Like seeing Marshawn Lynch anywhere. All right, what you got on this one? Thanks for that one. Who was that, Bernard? Let's go to Steve says, how tall are each of you dudes?
Oh, wow. We're getting deep in the mailbag today.
I'm 5'6".
I'm 6'3". Do we want to do should we get it back to back and we'll, that was like the ultimate growing up. It's like, who's taller? And you just sit, you on your tiptoe.
Right.
I had a lot of, because I have a pretty tall friend group. And funny enough, my buddy Johnny, he was the shortest of us up until we were probably juniors in high school. And so I went to public school. He went to LaSalle. He came back from I hadn't seen him in a month or two. And he came back it was winter break or whatever. We're hanging at friends of ours' houses. I was like, what the hell happened to you? What'd you get? You had the super serum or something? Because then he's probably an inch taller than I am now, or right around my height. And it was just a very damn, I didn't know growth spurts came this late. It was like a Anthony Davis moment.
Yep.
Just not quite that tall, obviously.
Yep. And Derek, you're 6'3", so Derek's 6'1", 6'2", something like that.
Yeah, Derek and I are right in the same.
Right around the same.
If Derek is still in the chat, he was earlier, can chime in himself.
Yep.
But I don't actually know.
Yep. So those are the heights. Who asked that question, Bree? Steve, those are the heights.
Thank you, Steve, for the donation to the show.
That's right. All right. So that'll do it for us here on the PHLY show on this Monday, a mailbag and a campaign day, as the Sixers are expected to bring in Cam Payne. Of course, the guys have confirmed the reports, Derek and Kyle, that Cam Payne is coming back for the final 28 games of the regular season and for the playoffs as well, if need be, for Nick Nurse's team. Bree, you did have a poll that you put together. What are the final results of the poll for Cam Payne's return?
61 say with it, 39% say not a fan.
There it is.
Surprised by that?
I mean, people like Cam Payne, so I'm not super
I think
shocked.
they understand what he's going to play.
I think the
10 to
pushback has
15
been
minutes.
less about Cam Payne than it is the Jared part, which is like,
Right.
oh, you turned Jared into, which is not really what happened, but that's what it looks like on paper.
And it's also, they're not bringing up Lonzo Ball and Cole Anthony. They're just like, all right, Cam Payne, cool, but you had Jared McCain. So it's not that they didn't bring in any of those other players.
Yep.
There's just the Jared McCain side of things that's not going to go away because Oklahoma City, he's going to hit a shot in the playoffs that Sixer fans are going to be ticked off about if the Sixers are out of the playoffs at that point. So we'll see.
And just one last quick thing on buyouts and whatnot. I know it came up in the chat at some point earlier. March 1st is the deadline. Derek has hammered this over and over again. It's not the deadline for the Sixers to sign somebody, but the player would have to be waived by their team by March 1st to be eligible to be on someone else's playoff roster. So as we talk about the Chris Middletons of the world, that's why I think there will probably be another 10-day signing, if I had to guess, as the Sixers wait out. If they were just going to sign Jabari Walker, I feel like they would have done so already. I think my guess is they're going to try to leave a window open here so that if some other guy becomes available in the next week and a half, they have the open roster spot potentially to bring that guy in. So it's not that they need to sign someone by March 1st. That guy would just have to be waived or bought out by their current team before that date.
And as Derek brought up last week when we broached this subject, remember the Greg Monroe edition during that playoff, getting ready for the playoffs, where they brought him in really late, but he was eligible for the playoffs because he was hit that release right before the March 1st deadline.
Yep.
So there's that. And also, when Kyle brought this up before, I had pushed back and said Chris Middleton is not getting let go because they've already said, not the Mavs, but reports were that the Mavs were saying that they weren't going to do it.
I've heard both sides of
Right.
it.
So Kyle's not wrong. I'm not wrong, but I will give Kyle this. Dallas stinks, the Mavericks. And if they come to some agreement at some point during the year, like, look, during this next week and a half, hey, can you guys just let me go? I spent my last year in Washington. I still feel like I
want a shot to play in the playoffs.
I want to go try again for a championship and see what I can help out with the team. And so there's so much time from when I said that, when Kyle brought up Chris Middleton. Not that I was dismissing it was just more of what the report said, that there's a lot of runway here for Dallas and Chris Middleton to maybe come to some agreement where they let him go and explore the market and see if he can land on another team, especially with agents always talk behind the scenes. If they know that there are a lot of interest out there, maybe Dallas will make that happen for him. So we'll monitor and we'll continue to update you all the way up to March 1st with that final roster spot for the Sixers. All right, let's get to the final. You know what the runner is of the day. It's the first one of the week. It's the PHLY Sixers roll call, the world famous.
Since we went really long today, there will not be a news and notes segment for me to mention, but I did want to shout out the late, great, just passed away today, Robert Duvall, 95 years old. So he lived a long and full life. I was going through the filmography earlier. It is amazing how many movies that guy was in, Devon. Great movies. The Conversation, Godfather 1 and 2, Network. He's in the original True Grit, Apocalypse Now. We talked about some more recent stuff, like he was in Kicking and Screaming, underrated comedy.
Fantastic.
He's in Jack Reacher. He's in Falling Down with Michael Douglas. Sling Blade, Gone in 60 Seconds, which is a dumb Nick Cage action movie that I not so secretly enjoy now that I said it on the show.
He needed Duvall.
He could be in any different kind of movie. He could be in a serious movie, an action movie, a comedy, whatever you needed him for. I think he's in that one Christmas movie too. Was that the Vince Vaughn? 4 Christmases.
Oh yeah,
I think he's in
He's
that.
Vince Vaughn's dad, and
so he's in John Q with Denzel. I'm pretty sure. Like Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise.
Versatile.
Shout out Robert Duvall, the late great Robert Duvall.
Legendary.
Rest in peace. Best to his family, of course. Great. And best to all of you. Thank you guys for hanging with us for We had 2 people, and we went like 20 minutes over the normal show
Thank
time.
you, Cam Payne.
Derek, you owe us 20 minutes, buddy, at least. Thank you to Derek for checking in on his day off. Thank you to Antoine, Provolone John, Arizona Ron,
what up?
Stacy Smith, C. David, Rick Morse, Mellow 3 Point, Steve, who had the first height super chat, I think, in,
What up, Steve?
in the PHLY Sixers history. Alden Network, Chris Wiltshire, Lee Nguyen, Neil
up,
Deaver, Mom's Grandchildren. Hello to Mom. Hello to J-Dub, Ian the Remix, Deck Inc. You better
Remix
love
it.
somebody,
You better love
with a
somebody.
super
Love
chat.
somebody.
Eugene Ross, as always, checking in. Thank you, Eugene. Greeny Green. Thank you to Jazz. Ty Checks.
Jazzy?
Fuzzy 007.
It's a little fuzzy out there, 007. Let us know what's
It's not
going
bald
on.
007.
No,
it's
it is
Fuzzy
not.
007.
It's just fuzzy, though.
Thank you, Smy Guy. Thank you to Charles. Thank you to Wawa Marvel. Get that $5 big breakfast deal, buddy. Get after it. Thank you to Art. Thank you to June, Hedva, Jess, my girl Nona.
Hey, ladies.
Hit up Rothman, Nona. Tell them we sent you. You
Got you
know
covered.
you're in good hands. Thank you to Val. Thank you to X-Man, Theo, Eden the Remix, the Court Jester, Yams, Igavini, A. Ron,
What up,
K-Red, Eugene Ross, Marcus Blackstock, Bernard McCoy with a super chat. And of course, Schoolboy with a couple of super chats today. Thank you to everybody. And my guy Jay at the Jungle, I think I might have forgotten.
Saw Jay in there. What up, Jay?
Saying that I'm capping at some point, but Jay, I still love you, buddy. I don't know what he was even referring to.
Eden the remix. Colors and colors. Robert
Colors is
Duvall.
another great one with
In the
Robert
90s,
Duvall.
yeah,
Listen,
sure.
Robert Duvall, the legend. Shout out to Robert Duvall.
No doubt.
Either for Robert Duvall or for us, hit the thumbs up button on today's video. It helps us out a great deal. Helps me sleep at night. Helps out all the wonderful people working behind the scenes here at PHLY, particularly our friend, our president of basketball ops, Bree, super producer Bree, behind the scenes. Give her the thumbs up. She's the best. And on the way out, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and
your
every time
side.
we go live.
You got the bell. There you go.
Always wanted to do that. I never get the chance to. So thank you, Derek, for that. We'll be back on Wednesday at 3 p.m. And then, as Devon said, right back to the games. Thursday, Saturday,
Lots of
Sunday.
them.
3 games and 4 nights out of the All-Star break because nobody at the NBA has ever read a calendar or thought about one when making a schedule. But anyway, we'll be back Wednesday, 3 o'clock. Whole gang will be here. Until then, stay safe. Take care of one another. Goodbye.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.